What's going on, guys? We are back again with the RPO College Football Podcast. I just realized I was on mute, so I do apologize for that. How you guys doing today? We are glad to be here again. Ray, what's going on, man? How you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty well, Jerome. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. As you know, I'm your humble host, Jerome. This is Ray Roberts, the expert, the analysis guy, the guy that knows all about the players. He's very knowledgeable. So if you don't know who Ray is, you need to know who Ray is because he's the man. He's the man. But I am glad to be here right now because we got some college football news today. Well, not today, but this week. Which is some good news. Out of all the bad news that we have, we got some good news. We got some schedule releases and stuff like that we're going to talk about. We got some players that opted out, so we're going to talk about a little bit about that, and we might get into some playoff scenarios. So, you ready to start this, man?
Whatever you are.
All right, let's talk about some of these notable players that opted out. We've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks about how players are opting out and how their draft stock is going to affect this and what we think about them coming into the draft. So we're going to get right into our first guy. We're going to talk about LSU's DB, Kerry Vincent Jr., a very good cornerback / safety. Play him everywhere back there. Ray, I want to know what you think about Kerry.
I think he's a good football player. I think that I think like you said, he's a guy who plays some slot receiver, plays some safety for them, does a lot of good things for them. I think that I'm not going to question anybody who opts out for this year and wants to enter the draft. I mean, it's about being healthy. So, I would prefer everybody plays, but again, I'm not going to make that decision for him. It's his decision to make ultimately. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's LSU, man. I mean, they have guys that will take his place. So,
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. They already got a good DB, and I always say this: they're DBU, so they're gonna pop somebody in there, and they're gonna be okay. Trust me, I already know that. But Kerry is a 5'10", 189 pound corner. What do you think about like him as a prospect? How far do you think he will go in the draft? And what some of the things that you like about him?
I think that he's a good coverage guy. I think I project him more as a free safety than a corner. You could let him play some slot coverage. He can do that. Again, with me, when I see guys playing the slot a lot, it tells me they're probably going to be more comfortable playing safety at the next level.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think he got some good feet to him. Like he got some good quick feet to him.
For a guy that played slot and did some backup duty last year, he had a nice year. So he's a good player.
Definitely. All right, let's get into our next player. Oklahoma's running back, Kennedy Brooks. He is 5'11", 216 pounds. From Oklahoma. Ray, what do you think about him? I think this is going to be a stacked running back class again. What do you think about him coming into this draft after declaring?
Again, he plays a position where any running back that would tell me they're thinking about entering the draft, I would just tell them to go ahead. Yeah. I mean, you only have a short career. I mean, go make the money as quickly as you can. Mm-hmm. That's from the player's perspective. From Oklahoma's perspective, they're going to miss this kid. He was our leading rusher last year. He had a night. Him and Trey Servin who shared carries last year. Now Servin transferred or got in the transfer portal to go to Ohio State. So maybe he'll want to come back. Maybe he won't be able to come back. I don't know. But it basically left them with a bunch of like very young players at running back. So I think that Oklahoma will miss Kennedy Brooks a lot more than LSU will miss Kerry Vincent. So.
Yeah, I was looking into it. Also, I seen I think two other players were suspended the first couple of games. He's retiring. Like you said, the running back that's going to Ohio State. He's in the portal, and then now they only have I believe they have a true freshman and as a running back right now, which is
they have Ramondre Stevenson who had a nice little year last year. Mm-hmm. But again, he's going to miss anywhere from 2 to 4 games because of the suspension. So
suspension, yeah. That's crazy. So yeah, Oklahoma, that's going to be a team to look at going down the down. Also, where you see him going in the draft?
I think it's a deep draft at running back again this year. I think that's my. I don't think he's more than a third or fourth round pick.
Hmm.
I don't. I don't think he'll be taken. He's definitely not going to be taken before day two, the end of day two,
Yeah.
maybe early day three. Again, you're a running back, man. Get out there, get your feet in the water, make your money, do your thing. I never question a guy who wants to get in the NFL because again, these guys make money for about 5 years and then they usually have a hard time signing that second contract. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I
And
do think that I don't think that he's a good player. He's a nice slashing type running back. He has nice contact balance. He has nice pad level. He's a good player, but I
mhm.
don't think he's going to be taken before the third round. I doubt it, honestly.
And you know what? It's funny you say that because I was about to mention that just now. Is that I feel like he's in the second tier of the running backs, like
Oh,
the
absolutely.
becoming running backs that's coming in this year. So with
Mm-hmm.
that being said, those second tiers been coming in the third, fourth, fifth round in the last couple of drafts, and just on a value of running backs, you can grab like everybody's going running back by committee now, so you don't have to always get the first round running back. So I feel like he might be in that range that mid third to early fifth round, I
Yeah,
believe.
I agree with you. I just think my only thing is though that he's not going to be a top tier running back. Is he going to be like in part of the second tier of running backs? I'm not even sure about that. But again, the one plus is he's not going to get hurt,
Mhm.
and it's all going to be about the combine.
Yeah,
So get ready for the combine. The problem I would have if I were Kennedy Brooks is what happens if there is no combine? How am I elevating my draft status at all if I don't play football somewhere?
that is a question
We'll
for
see
a
what
lot of
happens.
these guys.
Absolutely.
A lot of these guys. So hopefully that goes through. Let's talk about our next play. Go ahead, Ray.
It's running back. So again, go out there, make your money. I never, and I think again, he's a good player. He'll get drafted. I don't know exactly where, but get out there, get in the league, do your thing. And again, the one plus is he's not going to get hurt. So
Definitely, definitely. All right, let's get into our next player. It is Wake Forest's wide receiver Sage Harrat. Um, he is a 6'2", 215-pound wide receiver coming out of Wake Forest. One of the top receivers in this draft. What do you think about him, Ray?
I like Saint Sherrod. I think he's a nice. I don't want to just say he's a possession guy, but I think that's what his strength will be. He's got good
Yeah,
hands. He's got good length. He's got solid speed, not great speed, 4.5 something. He'll be a good player. I just don't know. I don't think he'll probably get taken in the second round. He's not going to be a first round talent. There's too many good wide receivers who are going to go and that are going to go before him in the first round. So
yeah,
again, he'll get drafted by somebody.
yeah, and like you say, he's more of a possession receiver. He's
Yeah.
strong, physical, more receiver. He reminds me
Mhm.
of the running back that just got drafted by the Colts. Oh man, Junior.
The running
Michael
back.
Pittman. I'm sorry. Did I say running back? I meant to say wide receiver. Michael Pittman Jr. That's what I was trying to say. He reminds me of him.
That's a good comparison. Pittman's a little bit stronger than this kid, but
Yeah,
this kid has strong hands. He's a good player. I like Surratt. I don't question anything, but again, here's a guy who, if there's no combine,
mhm.
he's going to sit there in the second round. He's not going to get a chance to get out of the second round.
Yeah.
So
For sure, for sure. One intriguing question that I have because if you guys don't know, Sherratt have a linebacker brother that plays for UNC, and he haven't made his decision. But do you think that he will opt out now? Not that his brother did, like
I
they're
think
family
he's
members.
probably going to at least think pretty hard about it. I think they're in different positions though, where Surratt's a wide receiver, which is a more coveted position than linebacker.
Yeah,
I think that they're both really good football players though, so
yeah,
we'll see.
correct.
You know,
Yeah, they still got time to do the opt out thing, and it could be going on all season. So we don't know how some of these guys are going. Let's get to our last guy. It's gonna be Jay Fatule. I think I said that right.
To fool.
Yeah, Jay Fatule. He's a UNC interior defensive lineman. At 6'3", 315 pounds, so he is a monster, beast, strong guy. Ray, what do you think about him?
I like Toffoli a lot. I think he's a second round talent. I think he could play anywhere in your defensive line. I mean, you're not going to let him play at weak side edge rusher, but he could play some 3 tech. He could play some 1 tech. He could play 0 tech in certain downs. Yeah. He's a good football player, and he's going to get drafted, I believe, like fairly early in the second round.
Yeah, he played 3 tech mostly at UNC.
He did play mostly 3 tech at USA. He did.
Yeah. So I think I honestly think he's one of those guys where you be like, oh, he's a second rounder, but he might move up into like the late first round by the end of the day. I think
he's that chance. The only thing that's going to hurt him is he's not going to have any game film to help him boost his draft status this year.
Touche.
If there's a combine, and if he keeps himself, in good shape, the kid's a player, and he'll get drafted pretty early. So
definitely, yeah. I think that we'll see how these go with some of these kids. We wish them all luck, and hopefully they can stay in shape and be resilient and have be ready for the combine if there is one, and if there isn't, hopefully their tape is good enough and they show these teams like what they can really do. But I'm sure they're gonna have private workouts.
If you go by his tape from last year and his stats are pretty solid. He's got good length, he's got good size, he's 6'3", 320. He played a lot of 3 tech last year, but if you could play him anywhere in the interior, and you could probably even let him play some strong side defensive end, first and second down. He's a pretty athletic kid for his weight.
Yeah,
I like Tefeli. I think he'll be drafted pretty early. I do.
No, and yeah, I agree. And like the good thing about these players that are opting out right now are that they are projected to be high draft picks. So that's going in their favor.
I think that's probably part of the reason why they've made this decision, that they're thinking, well, I'm going to get drafted fairly early. Why take the chance on getting hurt, getting sick, something in between? I mean, I'm going to get drafted early second round, maybe 30 to 35th, 40th is where I see Tefeli, where I have him ranked as like my 38th best player coming in the draft this year. I just think that, again, I understand why they're doing it. I mean, I want good football, though, and every time I see one of these kids leave the team, it kind of hurts me. I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't want to, but I'm just trying not to be selfish because I'm trying to look at it from their perspective, and I do understand. They're all making business decisions, and really they're making health decisions, and who can blame them for that?
And that's the biggest part, is that they're not just making business decisions, but they're making health decisions as well. So it's a little bit different from any other year. So
absolutely.
Hopefully they like I said, do well and keep up with their health and their body, and come in and kill the combine when it comes through. So good luck to them. Hopefully, with that being said, we do have a schedule now. So we have the new SEC schedule has been released on Tuesday, which is awesome, and we're excited to have some kind of acknowledgement of what's going on. So I'm gonna ramble off the week one. We're gonna discuss a couple of games that we're looking forward to, and who we see winning those games. So week one, which is September 26th, we have Alabama versus Missouri, Florida versus Ole Miss. We got Georgia versus Arkansas, Kentucky versus Auburn, Mississippi State versus LSU, Tennessee versus South Carolina, Vanderbilt versus Texas A&M. So out of those SEC teams and SEC games, what do you think about those schedules? What first week one game sticks out to you, Ray?
You know what, Jerome? I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, I don't think any of them games are great games. I think you have some good teams in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Auburn, solid team. I think the best game with the two is actually going to be Tennessee, South Carolina. That's the one game I think will be pretty competitive.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean? I think the other games, Alabama, Missouri will keep it close for a half, and then Alabama will take over because they're a better team.
Hmm.
Florida, Ole Miss, the same thing. Florida's a much better team than Ole Miss this year. Georgia, Arkansas, same. Auburn, Kentucky. If it were in Kentucky, I'd say it'd be fairly close. But it's Auburn at Auburn. I don't see that being that close. Mississippi State, LSU at LSU. Nah. Vanderbilt at Texas A&M. Probably not. Tennessee at South Carolina could be a good game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense, right? That makes sense actually. Yeah, that's a great first game. I'm looking forward to two other games. The Kentucky and Auburn game, and when I look at first games, the reason why I look into like um, why I think they're compelling games is that there might be a story behind it. So for that game, Kentucky usually have a good offense. I like to see their offense. I like to see they have that high flying, really good offense and things like that. But I think that with I'm looking forward to seeing Bo Nix in his second year. See how he comes out if he starts off well. That's one of the guys I will be following for this year. We have a comment in here from Remy. He says no Missouri will get run over start to end.
Right.
Definitely true. No, he's definitely right.
I think Missouri has a solid defense, and I think for a quarter and a half we'll be okay. And then after that, Alabama will just take over.
Yeah.
So.
And then the other game I'm looking forward to is Mississippi State versus LSU. Reason why that one is because I want to see how LSU reacts to losing all those players. I mean, they lost a lot of players. They just lost another one that we just discussed on their defense. I want to see how they bounce back. I want to see how that team operates. They're going to be home, so that helps them out. They're going against a team that's not that. I mean, they're good. They're decent. They're a decent team, but I want to see how they kind of start the year off with that. So that LSU game, it's one of those games that I'm looking forward to seeing, like how they're gonna operate. They lost their offensive coordinator. They lost, a whole bunch of people on offense. Most of their offense, basically. Offensive line is all different, and now they got defensive players. In and out now with Kerry not being there. So I'm very intrigued in seeing that one.
I mean, they kept their best receiver, which Jamar Chase, which will help them. But they lost Jefferson, they lost O'Hare, they lost a quarterback. I mean, they lost a lot. I think they'll still be a good team, and they're still going to be very well coached, which will be fine for them. I just don't. And I think that would be a fairly close game for like maybe even a little into the third quarter. But after that, LSU's still LSU, man. They're going to put good players out there. They're going to win. The other game that I think could be okay is I think Florida and at Ole Miss could be a fairly competitive game, but I think Florida's a better team and will just win the game. So
yeah, that was actually my third favorite one because I thought that they were probably a little bit closer, but at the same time, I think Florida's still going to win. I don't think it's going to be where it's going to be competitive, I think, but it's not going to be where, Ole Miss is even. I mean, not Ole Miss.
I understand why they want to start out like this. It would have been nice to see Florida, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, LSU. I mean, I know that would have been a heck of a way to, like, because one of them teams right away are going to be, like, kind of out of the picture if they lose the game, at least we don't win a 10-game season. I mean, but it just would have been nice to have one of them really primo games to lead the season off, So.
Remy also says SEC teams canceled out of. I think he's saying out of conference games also, right? Yes. So they're only doing SEC games. So SEC teams versus SEC teams. No.
Every game, all 10 weeks or 11 weeks, which every team getting a bye week. Is all SEC games.
Yep. So that's going to be interesting as well. So
yeah, well, it makes it more fun for the SEC people. It doesn't do much for the rest of us, but
Yeah, definitely. So we'll definitely see that. All right, let's get to week 2.
One more thing, contrary to what people think, I am not a fan of the SEC. I respect them, but I don't like them. Okay.
I like them because they produce a lot of NFL players. That's the only
Well, I
reason.
respect them because of that, but I don't like them because I don't like Nick Saban. I don't like them coaches down there. I mean, I respect them, but I don't
Yeah,
have to like them. It's like a Tom Brady thing. I
yeah.
can hate Tom Brady. The thought of his name makes my blood curdle, but I respect them.
I agree. I will agree. Although I'm a Michigan guy, I don't like Tom Brady at all. So that's and that don't mean I'm a Drew Hansen fan either. I wasn't really a fan of his either.
Well, neither was I. You got drafted by my team, though, so what am I going to do?
oh yeah, you definitely don't like. All right, let's get to week 2. All right, so week 2 we got Texas A&M versus Alabama, Arkansas versus Mississippi State, Auburn versus Georgia, South Carolina versus I'm about to say Washington, Florida, Ole Miss versus Kentucky, LSU versus Vanderbilt, and Missouri versus Tennessee. Who you like in that for, Ray?
That's a bunch of yuck, too, to be honest with you, Jerome. I mean, I think Missouri, Tennessee will be an okay game for a little while because they both have decent defenses. I think the best game of the day may be Auburn at Georgia. Again,
Mm-hmm.
Georgia was a better team and they'll win the game, but it could be fairly competitive for a while.
Yeah,
Every other game is crap.
yeah.
You know?
You don't like the South Carolina Florida game?
I think it'll be.
I thought you was high on South Carolina.
I think it'll be okay,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think South Carolina will win the game.
But you're high on South. It was South Carolina that you was high on this year, right?
Florida.
I'm saying for the year though. You say you think South Carolina was going to have a decent year though.
I think it'll be a decent team. I don't think they're going to be better than Florida. Not when it's all said and done.
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, I agree with you. I thought you would have might have said that game, but I do agree with you that Auburn and Georgia game is going to be the highlight of week 2.
Have two teams with high hopes, and if they both win week 1, which I think they probably will, then that sets up game week 2 for a nice game. You know.
Mm-hmm. Remy wants to know what's your beef with Saban, right? He walked out on Miami or something else.
That's it. He walked out on my team. You can't quit on my team, man. That's all there is to it. It don't matter who you are. You can't quit on my team, man.
He is a Miami fan, heart to heart.
I respect Jimmy Johnson. Good football coach. Don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame, but he's a good football coach. But he stepped out. He walked out on my team. At least he did it the right way, though. He stepped down and said, I can't do this anymore. Nick Saban lied from week 10 on. After week 10, there were reports that he was thinking about going to college, back to college football. No. He was sitting there yelling at people in a press conference that were reporting this. They're doing their job, and you're lying through your teeth. I don't have to like you. Not at all.
Yep.
You never heard me say it wasn't. You never heard me say he wasn't a good coach, though, right?
Yeah. That's one thing Ray though. He does respect. He respect the people that need respect. So, all right, let's go on to week 3. We got Alabama versus Ole Miss. We got Arkansas versus Auburn, Tennessee versus Georgia, Florida versus Texas A&M, Mississippi State versus Kentucky, Missouri versus LSU, and we got South Carolina versus Vanderbilt. Who you liking that one?
Slop. No.
Pretty much.
I think Tennessee at Georgia will be an okay game. I think Florida at Texas A&M will probably be a half decent game. Of course, I would love to see the lines and what the spreads will be, but we won't see that till later, and then we'll really get a good feeling for what we think will happen. But I think if I got to look at all these games, I think Arkansas, Mississippi State will be a decent game. I think Auburn and Georgia could be a good game. Depending on how both teams fare in week 1. I don't see anything else here worth talking about. Tennessee at Georgia, I think it'd be a decent game, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nothing else. Mississippi State at Kentucky will be a competitive game. I will not say who I think will win the game until after I see a line in it, but I think that could be a competitive game.
Right.
Missouri at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like, I think that could be an okay game. I like Missouri's defense. I do. I just worry about them keeping up and being able to score as many points as LSU does. That's all.
No, I agree. I would say probably Mississippi State and Kentucky. I like the closer games where the teams are more
I mean,
close.
yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for games that are going to be competitive. I mean,
Yeah.
I know Alabama and Ole Miss. That's a blowout. I know Arkansas and Auburn in the end will be a 10, at least a 10-point game, if not more. Tennessee and Georgia could be competitive for a half, maybe three quarters, and then Georgia will beat them because they're a better team. Florida and Texas A&M could be a fairly competitive game throughout the game, probably. But I think Florida will win because they have better athletes. Mississippi State at Kentucky will probably be the most competitive game of them games, I think.
Mm-hmm. So, guys, what you hear from us is a lot of floppy games for the first 3 weeks. So let's move on to
If you're going to keep them in conference, it's going to be that way, though.
yeah.
Until you get Georgia and Alabama, Auburn against LSU, Auburn against Florida, you're going Tennessee against Florida. You're going to have a lot of mixed match games, So,
All right, so week 4, it seems like it's gonna start heating up. We got some good. I think this was gonna be a little bit more better and more competitive game. So we got Georgia versus Alabama, Ole Miss versus Arkansas, Auburn versus South Carolina, LSU versus Florida, Kentucky versus Tennessee, Texas A&M versus Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt versus Mizzou. Who you got in that one, Ray?
you know what, Jerome? That's easily the best week so far. That's a lot of good games, actually.
I feel like almost all these matchups are like
all of those games will be very competitive games.
exactly.
I'd be very surprised if anybody got blew out that week. I would. I'd be very surprised. I think that is easily the best slate of games that I've heard so far. I mean, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, Arkansas. I mean, even though you're not on the same par with Georgia or Alabama, Ole Miss at Arkansas will be a good game. Auburn at South Carolina probably be a fairly close game. LSU at Florida will be a good game. Kentucky at Tennessee probably be the most lopsided game of the ones I've just said, but will probably be a competitive game. Texas A&M at Mississippi State, decent game. Vanderbilt at Missouri will probably be the next one. I can see Missouri after probably not doing great the first 3 weeks, probably getting everything right in week 4. Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, I would say my favorite game out of that would probably be the LSU Florida game. Again, this is going to be a test. I think LSU's first real test that they're gonna, see how their new team is going to be. Florida's coming back. I think they're going to be a better team than last year, of course. Georgia, Alabama, that's always a great game. One that we always look forward to every year. That those two go head to head. The Ole Miss versus Arkansas, I think that's going to be a very close game.
Yeah.
But yeah, those just rambling off of those ones. I think like I said, this is probably the best week that we have. Week 4, it's going to be October 17th. So that's going to be definitely one that I'm going to be home all day on Saturday watching each one of those games. Hopefully spread out the games a little bit too, so you can watch it throughout.
Yeah, it would be nice if they spread it out from like Thursday to Sunday, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. I don't know if they have the times. I don't have the times right on me right now.
Well, they all say October 10th though, man. So I guess they're going to be playing them all day.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. No, that one's October 17th. Yeah.
I'm sorry, October 17th. You're right. Wow. But you know what? That's going to be a lot of good games, and I mean, really, after a week, 3 weeks of probably mismatched games. That week 4 slate of games is going to be really fun to watch.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. All right, let's get to week 5. We might have to split up the schedule. We only got a few conferences anyway, so let's get into. We'll probably split up the schedule, talk a little bit of playoffs, and then talk about the second half next week. But let's get into week 5. Week 5 we have Alabama versus Tennessee, Auburn versus Ole Miss, We got Mizzou versus Florida, Georgia versus Kentucky, and South Carolina versus LSU. Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, and Arkansas are all on byes that week. So we got
Yeah.
only 5 games that week from the SEC.
Yep.
You got that one, right?
Honestly, again, where we have a lot of, Alabama at Tennessee, that has 37-10 written all over it. Auburn and Ole Miss, 27-3. Missouri at Florida, 30-20. That could be a decent game, maybe a 30-20 game. Georgia at Kentucky, that has 40-3 written all over it. South Carolina at LSU, 30-10. I mean, they're not good games.
Yeah,
That's not really. Hopefully, the ACC has some good games that week.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing because like you would have hoped like the games that some of the teams are on buys, like it'll have a couple of the better games in there, like at least 1 or 2. Like they packed it all in week 4, and then like week 5, you're like, all right, well we only got 5 of our teams playing, and it's not the better games.
I did not. I didn't even think about that till just when you said that. I mean, it would have been a better idea to have a couple of them games switch from week 4 to week 5 to make both. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
Yeah. Hey, it is what it is, man. It's college football.
You don't make their schedules.
Nah, we're not allowed.
All right. So let's get into week 6. It's gonna be the last week that we're talking about this week. Like I said, we're gonna split up the calendar. So week 6, October 31st, is gonna be the last week of October, going into the last couple weeks. So we got Mississippi State versus Alabama, Arkansas versus Texas A&M, LSU versus Auburn, Kentucky versus Mizzou, Ole Miss versus Vanderbilt, and then we got Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee all on buys that week. What game do you like that week, Ray?
LSU and Auburn.
Yeah,
should be a decent game. Should be a pretty good game, I would think.
Yeah, it's the most.
Everything else there is just the same slop. Kentucky at Missouri, somewhat competitive. Ole Miss at Vanderbilt will be somewhat competitive, but not a great slate of teams. So, I mean, LSU and Auburn should be 2 pretty good teams, probably playing pretty good games. So,
I wonder, like, now that they're going to be, like, literally SEC versus SEC every week, you think they're going to have, like, most of the primetime games? If not all of them?
I think unless it's Clemson or maybe if, like, North Carolina or somebody catches fire, they're
probably going to have every last one of the primetime games.
They're going to be the primetime Friday night game, primetime Saturday night game, primetime whatever they do during the day Saturday. The only time one of them other teams will probably get in is maybe the Thursday night games. Yeah. And you may have the SEC teams on them games too.
That's crazy. Yeah. Well, all the dates say what they say.
They do. But don't be surprised if something happens where they change that.
Yeah, I think they're gonna change it. I think it says something right here. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's just the staple date where they're trying to keep it at. But like, I don't think they're scheduled to actually play on those days. I guess it depends. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. Check us out next week. We're gonna go into the second half of that. Just wanted to split it up. I knew we was gonna be able to do it all today. So so far SEC schedule not looking that great. Got one really good week 4. One decent game week 6. We'll see next week if the rest of the schedule will be really well. But let's get into our last topic, which will be the playoffs. So now that we know that the Big Ten is not going to be in there, the Pac-12 is not going to be in there, the MAC is not going to be in. How do you see this playoff system going out? Because you always have one team outside of the SEC, at least one team outside of the SEC each year going to the playoff. Last year we had two. How do you see this playing out, right? And who do you think is going to be most likely the four teams that will be in the playoffs this year?
Well, I think it'll be Alabama, of course. Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, and LSU. I mean, honestly, if you wanted me to, if I picked a sleeper, I'd pick North Carolina.
Yeah, that was probably going to be my sleeper as well. But I think you're right. We're probably just going to have all SEC teams in the playoffs.
Well, we have the one ACC team in Clemson.
Oh, Clemson. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Clemson's definitely going to be in there. Clemson's definitely going to be in there.
Yeah, Clemson will be there. I mean, I got Alabama 1, Clemson 2, Georgia 3, LSU 4. I mean, I think 1, 2, and 3, that's up for debate where them teams will finish. We'll see. I like LSU because of their coach and their experience. I do worry about them losing a lot of talent. I think that I would like to say I think Notre Dame could be a sleeper team, and I'm going to root for that, but I can't say that I'm sure it will happen. I think if you look at North Carolina's schedule, they have a nice schedule. They have a seasoned veteran coach. They have a good quarterback in Sam Howell. I think they're the one dark horse team that may fight their way to get in there.
Yeah, and Vermi says Oklahoma maybe. They can sneak in there too, I think.
I think Oklahoma they're always going to be in the mix.
Yeah.
I mean, if they ever play defense, they actually might win a game, but yeah, they'll always be in the mix.
Yeah, they got, they do have a young quarterback in there, so it's going to be very interesting to see how he plays. I think he's going to be good, though, but first year for Sam Ratliff, I think that's how you say his last name. So,
yeah, I honestly, I think Oklahoma would be a good team. I think if they don't get some depth at running back, they're going to be throwing the ball 60 times a game.
Yeah.
And that's not conducive for making playoffs. It's just not.
Especially, and like I said, young quarterback, you don't want him slinging the ball that much.
They're playing in a conference with Texas, and I think Texas is going to be an improved team this year. I do.
Yeah, a lot of people think that as well. So yeah. Remy also says, what's going on with North Carolina? Yesterday they said they were canceling or postponing school year. I heard some rumblings about that. I don't know how true it is. It's still literally up in the air. Literally. I know schools can opt out themselves even if the conference don't have them, but that's going to be a mess if that happens. That's going to be
listen, Notre Dame just sent a bunch of students home too that tested positive. Not football players, but a bunch of students. So you know what? Everything is up in the air. Mm-hmm. We won't know from minute to minute, from day to day, what's going to happen until that day comes up. Like we just talked about these 4 guys, Jerome. We were only going to talk about 2, but 2 guys came up today, so we decided let's just throw them in the mix, see what happens. You don't know. Everything that has happened since March has been unprecedented. No one's ever seen it. I'm 58 years old. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah,
never.
It's crazy. Weird times. We always have some kind of tragedies that come out of nowhere every once in a while, but this is different because it's lingering. It's been lingering for a while and leaving a lot of things in the air, and it's affecting not only just football but schools as well. So North Carolina might opt out. I don't know. Like I said, it's so everything's so fluent right now.
I will say this. For all these college kids, and I don't want to call them kids because they're not kids, they're young adults. Mm-hmm. For all these college students that are still throwing all these parties and acting like a bunch of 12-year-olds, thanks. You've really done you've really screwed up our whole year now. Okay?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. And for guys that will preach to their parents and to their elders and you just need to treat us like adults. It's time to start acting like one, okay?
Definitely. Well, that is our podcast for today, guys. Thank you so much for checking us out. We will be back next week talking all college football. I'm sure we're going to have some type of news. Like I said, we're going to talk about the second half of the SEC schedule. I believe we're still waiting on the Big 12 schedule, right?
We are. And I've seen games that are scheduled with the ACC, but I've not seen a season schedule yet.
Yeah.
When that comes out, that's going to be interesting because, of course, you have Clemson. You have some other teams that are going to be in the mix. I think North Carolina will be in the at least in the conversation as long as everybody plays.
Correct.
But it's going to be interesting when these other conferences come out with their schedules too. I'm surprised that the Big 12 has not come out with a schedule yet.
I'm surprised too. I was hoping they had something today so we can talk about it a little bit, but I didn't see anything. So
I've looked for the last couple of days. I didn't see anything. I saw games, no dates next to them, but I've seen games. But I've not seen anything close to a whole schedule yet.
Correct. You're right. Yeah. So maybe now that the SEC has theirs, Big 12 and the ACC will have something by next week. And if they do, come back to us, check us out next Wednesday at 7 o'clock, and we'll definitely be here to talk about it. So thanks, guys, once again for checking us out. This is the RPO podcast. If you've not checked us out before, please, we do appreciate you being in here. Please make sure you share, like, everything. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, we do appreciate you guys being in here. Make sure that you check InsideTheHashes.com out. We have find all our content on there, player interviews, podcasts, gaming, all that. Fantasy football, which is coming up. We're about to have our fantasy selection show on Sunday, so make sure you check that out as well on the same platforms. That will be at 7 o'clock on Sunday. Check that out. Raising it. It's going to be very fun. We have all the cast in there talking about their picks and where they find out where they're going to be picking. So that's going to be a fun, cool event. Also, make sure you're checking out all our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You find all our content on there. Make sure you listen to all the player interviews on there. We got a lot of good players that have good interviews, so make sure you're checking that out. And thank you guys. We do appreciate you guys. You guys are doing. We love you guys for supporting. Remy, we do appreciate you always for being on with us. So and all the other fans that are on right now. So we do appreciate each one of you guys. Again, please make sure you share, like, and check us out again next week. I'm Jerome Jones, your humble host. We got Ray Roberts in the building. Thank you so much, and you guys have a great day. Peace.